Hi, I'm Bob Peters, host of Salute here on Lakefront TV. I have a video I'd like to share with you. It was taken down at the Senior Center here in Leesburg when a visit from Eddie Ko. Eddie Ko was a Korean who was known as the Korean Spy. He helped save thousands of Marines at the Frozen Chosin Reservoir for what he did. Eddie was a dear friend of the Korean community and a proud American. He also served in the United States Army. This video is a little rough. I did it with my camcorder. I hope you enjoy it, and more so, I hope the family enjoys it. Eddie, thank you.
Colors.
I'm not in the way, am I?
One step back. Look. Hands through. Two. Left. Peace. Left. Left. Left.
I got it on tape too, fellas.
We got detail upside.
I do have prepared some speech, but we're getting late, so I'm going to cut it real short. I was supposed to see the TV program that was on the military channel a few months ago. That Canadian filmmaker came down and asked me to interview for about a couple of days, in fact. But on this film, only a few minutes that I was in it. But they want to know about exactly what happened to Incheon landing, which was a crucial point of winning the Korean War. Without Incheon landing, would have been all pushed out to the Busan, and that will be end of it. And the Korean people think that maybe once Americans go off the island, off the Korea, they will not come back. So that was a very crucial tactic for the Americans to Incheon. And that was strictly for the General MacArthur's idea. Nobody really liked that idea because the terrain, the tide was very, very high and low, almost 30 feet at the high time. And so nobody wants to do it. And all the admirals say no. But he said, because you say no, that means Kim Il-sung in North Korea thinks that we're going to say no, so that's what I'm going to do it anyway. So he did, and he really took a chance but he knew what to do. So he did send American CIA officer Eugene Clark. He was a Navy officer. He sent the two islands, off the island, Incheon, little island, 2 weeks before the landing. So that's what I met Eugene Clark. Probably saw some pictures over there. And he was getting all the information about what's in Incheon, how many soldiers are there, how many cannons are there, how many tanks are there, or event of any problem, how many North Koreans could come there. All those things that nobody knew. So he drafted us, 6 of us. And I was 14 years old. I came in and out of North Korea. With the North Koreans, there was no problem. I just tell them, give me some food. I'm hungry. They give me food. So I played beggar. I don't have a home, and they really keep trying to help me. But meantime, I got all the information. I asked them, how many were there in that island? And they tell me, I just tell them, you probably have about 2 dozen Oh no, we have 500 there and things like that. So anyway, I give that information to the Eugene Clark. He sent it, and the plan was perfect. After we did that for 2 weeks, September 15, midnight, landing was done and very successfully. In fact, only few casualties of American soldiers. After and there, I didn't know what to do because he asked me to come with him to North Korea, which I did not want to go, which I did better situation because all of the boys that went with him was killed within a week or so. So I just asked him that, could you write me a note that what I did for you for 2 weeks? I'm going to show that to every time I see American GIs, and maybe I can get credit for it. So he did write a note, and I walked right into the 1st Marine Division, and I told them who I was, this is what I did, and they accept me like brothers. And then he gave me all the things what I had to do. So I went all the way up to Chosun Reservoir. That's where some of those pictures there. And I went up there, I want to make it a little short, so I went up there and I met this Chinese soldier, Chinese officer. So I said, you're not a Korean? He said, no, I'm Chinese. So I asked him, so what are you doing here? So, well, I'm a Chinese officer, and I have a lot of Chinese here and hiding in the caves and mountains and then only come out at night. Fortunately, I find out this gentleman was studied in the United States. He went to MIT, and before the war, then he joined the Chiang Kai-shek National Army. Then he got captured by the Mao, and he became a Mao's army. Then he came up all the way to Manchuria and end up in Korea. He really didn't want to fight. He wants to go home. His family was in Taiwan. He really wants to capture, but he could not because they found out any of those mines, he could be executed right there and then. But I knew that what he told me, but he only not told me what he was, but he told me all about the Americans, Chinese, where they're hiding, how many of them there. I was surprised. He told me 120,000 completely surround the 1st Division, 1st Marine Division. You guys are not going to get away with this because there's another 100,000 in Manchuria. They're coming to help. I was really scared. I was really hurried to get that message to Marines. So there was 7th Marine and 5th Marine was all the way up to a place called Udam-ni, which was way up, and happened to be the Colonel Chesty Fuller. You probably heard of him. He was a 4-star general, retired. And I sent him the message. We sent him a message saying that Chinese are here. Because I didn't want to believe that the Chinese were involved in this war. And he didn't know that there was Chinese are coming, but I knew the Chinese are coming. So I told him there's a Chinese, many Chinese, sir. He asked again, he said, how many is many? He said, I just don't know, but it's a many. And he got upset. He said, do you have any American soldier, American officer near you? So I found that the young captain, the officer, and I told him that I can test wants to talk to you. He didn't believe me. So he got on the phone. The first thing I heard was, that's a shitload of a Chinese, sir. And he later, I find out, he said, there's a guy out there who knows how to count. The Korean guy didn't know how to count. I didn't know that anything many is a shitload. I really didn't know that. So anyway, that's what happened there. But we had a division commander, was O.J. Smith. You probably heard of him. Very studious officer. He's not like Chesty. Chesty was, he cursed a lot. I mean, he's a rough Marine. But this O.J. Smith was very studious, like a professor. He cared about the Marines. He didn't want to go all the way up by knowing how many Chinese are there. So he slowed down, in fact, against MacArthur's plan, but he did ask MacArthur, why don't you give me a airfare and air station so that I can get the wounded out first. Then I get some supplies in. Only way to do is to get a little strip. So place called a Habururi, which is about 60 miles south of Udane, and he built a little strip. In that strip outside, there's a tent there. There's hundreds of wounded soldiers, Marines are coming in. So one day, this Marine stretchers, young Marine was lying in the stretcher, and he had his foot all mangled up. It was a pretty bad shape. And this doctor's going by to give them a morphine shot. Morphine was the only way to relieve their pain. I'm in the shot of a morphine. Morphine shot, he got it out of his mouth capsule because it was frozen. It's 30 below outside. You leave anything outside, it was frozen. So he put it on his mouth full of his shots, the capsules. Then he was giving to these crying and mourning young Marines. Finally, this Marine lifted up his head and he said, "Doc, don't hit me. I know my foot is gone, but I'd like to ask you one question." So this doctor lighted up a cigarette and passed to him and said, "What is your question, young man?" This Marine, trying to put up his head, tried to smile a little, and he said, "When I get prosthetic foot, can I dance like I used to?" That was the only question. He didn't ask about, what am I doing here in this 40 below, General? You told me I killed all the North Koreans and we'll be home by Christmas. But we are facing the Chinese. He didn't tell me the Chinese are here. He could say lots of things about the complaining, but he didn't, because he was true American soldier. He knows what he had to do, and he got hurt. Only thing he was worrying about is he promised his fiancée in Idaho, where there's a farm, his father had a farm, and as soon as he get home from the Korean War, they're going to get married. But only thing he's worried about, looking down his foot, he can't find, he said, "Hey, I'm going to dance with her that first night." But that was the only thing he's worrying about. Ladies and gentlemen, there's lots of GIs like that. I met all of you, just like that. You there with very strange country. You there with really not ready to fight. Those mountaineers, those guerrilla fighters, they are like half animals, like in running down on the hill, blowing that funny sound, bugles all over the place, make you crazy. But you did fight until whatever you had to do. So ladies and gentlemen, you are the great American soldiers. You are the, what I call, American GIs. Let me tell you about the American GIs. A couple years ago, I saw the news program, Meet the Press, and he was interviewing a gentleman, white-haired gentleman called Stephen Ambrose. You probably heard of him. He wrote a lot of books about the Second World War, such as D-Day, Citizen Soldiers, Band of Brothers. All of those books are wrote by him, and he's quite a historian. And Anchorman asked him, "Mr. Ambrose, who do you think the most important person of the 20th century?" He paused for a little bit. He said, "Well, let me think. It's not any king or queen that I can think of it. It's not even any prime minister of any country, not even a president, also not even a pope. The most important person of the 20th century is ordinary American GIs who sacrificed, went to Europe and fought the Nazi war, taking over entire Europe. The South Pacific, the Japanese imperialism hurting every island in South Pacific, even bombing Hawaii. But they fought there, they won. Then, of course, the Cold War. The Russians and Chinese and want to take over the entire Far East. And you guys were there, you fought the Cold War. That's why they stopped. So now, 49 million Korean people are living in modern and living in very good, robust economy. They are 10th largest economic country in the world. And with your help, America's help, they transformed that country to a receiving country to a giving country now. So those people sent you to today. We are going to give to you a medallion. Medallion is given by people of Korea, and the government was saying, thank you, American ordinary GIs, because you, we established this. Because you, we are strong. Because you, we are #1 friends. So I am so glad that I'm here to invited by you to give that presentation of a medallion. And I want you to remember what General MacArthur said in Congress Hall, his last speech. I love that speech. And on the last page, he said that all soldiers never die, they just fade away. So you are not going to die. You and I, we're not going to die. We're just going to fade away to our sunset of our life and to meet our loved ones. Before that, ladies and gentlemen of my loving veterans, you put your ribbons and your medals in your chest and talk to yourself. You said, you know what? 60 years ago, what we did in Korea, you know, that was the right thing to do, and I am proud of it. So thank you, and thank you again for you inviting me, and thank you again for what you did for Korea. And God bless every one of you here this afternoon, and God bless this great country of ours, the United States of America. I love to hear that. That's beautiful sound. And we hope that our boys and girls in Afghanistan will be home soon, and very, very soon. Thank you very much.